All righty then, Brian. I guess it's that time of every show where we need to check in with Tony and see while he still has his television empire, what he's doing to try to keep it. The weekly edition of AEW Dynamite, and I mean very weekly edition of AEW Dynamite, they were in Boston. They didn't have John Cena. They had Mercedes Moon, but do you think there's anybody in mainstream Boston that realizes that Mercedes Moan is from Boston?
Yeah, the people who say, whatever happened to Sasha Banks?
Yeah, she used to be on the wrestling.
There was a wrestler from Boston, Sasha Banks. Whatever happened to her? She's still wrestling?
Well, unfortunately, she is, and they proved it Wednesday night, but we'll get to that. But they had the opening match. The Hurt Syndicate has been put in this casino gauntlet battle royal to determine the new national champion, etc. And so far, really, it's like Hong Kong Phooey and Kevin Knight and Ricochet and his stooges and Lashley and Benjamin. And so now they decided, since they've announced 6 people for this, they'll have not only a match for the number 1 spot between 2 of them, but then another match later on. So the opening match was Bobby Lashley against Ricochet for the number 1 spot in the Casino Gauntlet pay-per-view match to determine who the new national champion is going to be. And visually, it was ridiculous. And if it was the heel that was the, fucking giant, and the babyface was the little resourceful, quick fellow, there may be something there. But here, the heel is the Incredible Shrinking Man. And they knew they couldn't get any time out of this. And I'm sure the Hurt Syndicate probably registered their thoughts. So they had, and Ricochet again has the heat of, we know you're just a fucking dweeb in person and we just don't like you type of heat from these people now. But they had him cut a promo for most of the time, and then they had a 3-minute match. I'm not complaining about the fucking match being short, but have you ever seen a promo from supposedly a star wrestler on a national TV show that looked more like a kid in 1997 with a VHS camera playing wrestler at his backyard wrestling federation than this Ricochet promo?
We see plenty of bad promos. This was bad, and also bad delivery, his voice. This was one of the worst promos I've seen, and it went on for way too long. Ricochet shouldn't be on. He was best used in Lucha Underground as a mute masked man. Because then he was impressive. Every time he's out there and he talks, you take him less seriously. It's not like, oh, he's a heel, I hate him, like Dominic. I can't wait for the babyfaces to get their hands on him. It ain't that. He's an annoying heel in the wrong kind of annoying way. And not a good promo. Doesn't know how to do a promo.
They were literally chanting "shut the fuck up" because they wanted him to. And it's this is not heel heat. This is don't care heat. And everybody, Lashley's standing there. He had to stand there for like 4 minutes while this guy rambles on. Again, Lashley is best presented when he can be explosive and etc. And finally, the biggest pop probably of the whole thing was, and right after Tony Schiavone had said, why doesn't Lashley just hit him in the back of the head? Lashley went over, grabbed him, and choke slammed him over the top rope onto his stooges. And that got a pop. But then, Lashley hit the post a time so Ricochet could take over. And then he made a comeback in seconds and a spear, 1, 2, 3. At least, as I said, the match was short, but I don't know what the fuck this is doing for anybody. Do you?
I don't think it's done anything to help the Hurt Syndicate, this feud with Ricochet and the Gates of Agony. I think you could argue it's helped the Gates of Agony because they're booked less awfully than they were.
But they perform equally as awfully.
Ricochet is, I mean, remember what turned him heel in the first place with AEW? It's like the more exposure you have to him, the less you want to hear him or see him.
He's like if Eddie Haskell was the star of Leave It to Beaver rather than just a supporting player.
Right. I guess that's the way to look at it. I don't think he's anywhere near as talented as Ken Osmond, for the record.
Well, no, but the annoying character for the whole show is rather than, he's fucking annoying.
I just saw the episode where Eddie's dad comes to visit Ward Cleaver because Beaver put a voodoo curse on Eddie with a voodoo doll because they snuck into the wrong movie theater to see like some movie about like voodoo, and Beaver somehow now has black magic abilities, according to Eddie's dad.
Well, that's almost as good as the one where when Lumpy Rutherford put the fucking fireworks in the jalopy that Wally and Eddie Haskell were riding in, they hooked his back axle up to a tree so that he couldn't drive out of his driveway, and it jerked his axle off, and they had to put it back on.
Yeah, the best part about that, too, is his dad comes right out and starts yelling at him. I knew you were an idiot. Go back inside.
So, ladies and gentlemen, now we'll leave the senior community and come back to what happened on Dynamite.
Hey, these are stars of TBS's past.
Yes.
The new Leave It to Beaver.
And people still remember them. You're going to remember this in fucking 15 minutes, probably. So they've been doing this thing with the Hardley Boys, the Cucamonga Kids, the chairman of the Lollipop Guild, where Don Fallis is trying to get them to join the Fallis family, making veiled threats and etc. But he's trying to show them what he can do for them because they're broke. They've lost all their money in this believable real life storylines. And so he gives them a big intro on the screen, and they walk out into the arena, and there's loud music and silent fans when they come out to the ring. These people are even just done with them. They'll pop on moves, but they don't care to see these fucking two. And then Don came out with Josh Alexander, who's become the third wheel in this thing. He looks like the delinquent in high school that got left back a couple of 3 times, right? Was standing with these fucking two. And their opponents at a 6-man tag team match are Scorpio Sky and Dante and Darius Martin with Christopher Daniels and a girl.
Layla Gray.
And Layla Gray. There you go. So they could have saved money and shot this on the trampoline in their backyard and not even had to come and do this. But after about 10 minutes, the 3 heels got one of the baby faces in the ring and just triple teamed him over and over while that fucking piece of shit Rick Knox just stood there dumbfounded, mouth agape, and watched him. And after they hit him with several things, then Alexander got an ankle lock on him and made him tap out, and the referee allowed it with all of the other 3 heels in the ring keeping the baby faces out. So it's not cheating if the referee sees every bit of it. And these baby faces, all, whether they're job guy baby faces or top guy baby faces, they all are just beaten flat with no fucking. Anyway, comments on the match before we do the afterbirth? Anything, Brian?
No, a typical Young Bucks match. Rick Knox is the referee, as in most Young Bucks matches. They told a great story about how Top Flight first got into AEW because of the Young Bucks. Top Flight haven't won a match since then, I don't think. It was just ridiculous seeing this babyface team who you knew were about to lose come out, and they had like multiple managers, and they didn't even have anything to do. They're babyface managers.
Dante is the one with the he's the bouncy fellow over on that side of the
yes,
street.
I think
he's the
Dante.
big jumper. And Darius, his brother, has gotten to be a little butterball, hasn't he? I was like, did he always used to? I know I always say these guys need to get bigger when they're as big around as a fucking drink straw, but I don't mean fat when I say big. But nevertheless, so they do this match, boom, and then the baby faces slink out in defeat. And we've seen Scorpio Sky for another year, I guess. And then Rocky Romero and Fat Ass Davis and a miscellaneous masked Mexican come to the ring. And that's where Don asks the Buckaroos there to officially join the family, demands they do it. And of course, they milk reluctantly. Oh my God, they're like Betty Davis and Baby Jane tearing the scenery up here. No, they just stand there and mope faced. And then Don reminded them, you know what can happen to people around here if they don't have a family? You know what happened to Kenny? Kenny. And wouldn't you know, Brian, who won the pony? Music played and it was Kenny's. As soon as he mentioned his, he'd been out there for 10 fucking minutes. Mentioned the name, boom. And Kenny comes out with a chair and hits a few of the lower class heels on the floor. And then got in a really fake looking fight with Alexander in the ring. The Bucks are standing there like, oh, we don't know what to do. And then they ask him to stop. But as he turns around and looks at them like, well, are we going to talk this over? Alexander clipped his leg and got the ankle lock on him, but the Bucks still don't do anything. And then Don tells Alexander, let him go. And then Don tells the Hardley boys there, give him your shitty little double knee lift. I mean, was there other fucking baby faces out there at one point that somebody just got the shit kicked? I don't know what the fuck is going on. But nevertheless, as they milk that and lacklusterly grab his hands to try to give him the double knee lift, then the Baltimore music plays, and here comes Jackoff and Dino, who made a save. I'm not making this up, with a snow shovel and a vacuum cleaner. Not even a canister, but a bag. And the heels bailed, and everybody argued while the fans sang Baltimore. Oh. With Kenny, you got to really do a lot to piss him off, don't you? To really end a friendship, you've got to go to extreme lengths. How many people have we seen over the last year and a half or 2 years or whatever, since he's had his injuries, health issues, time off? He comes back, somebody does something heinous to him with his bowels or his gut or whatever, and hospitalizes him, and he's gone, and he comes back. And when he comes back, then wasn't it Kyle that gave him a double brain buster off the goddamn deal, through the deal to the goddamn deal, and they carried him off? And then he comes back, and the Bucks originally, didn't they hit him with a baseball bat or something? He never comes back and just comes out and says, I have gotten over getting the shit kicked out of me by so-and-so, and I have come back to get even. He just always stands out and looks at the same people that sent him to the hospital last time. And so why is he asking the Bucks if they want to be friends again when they try to disembowel him? Or why is he goddamn involving himself in this when he ought to be one to kill Don for Don's people hospitalizing him and nearly ending his career one of the many times it's happened? What is going on here?
You know, this goes back to one of the problems from the beginning of AEW, when the Young Bucks and Omega were certainly a lot hotter with their fans than they are today. They were hot because those fans like those kind of matches. Whenever they tried to do an angle or a storyline, whether it was on their own YouTube show or everything they've done on Dynamite, it's amateur, childish acting. the thought process that clearly goes behind all these things. And again, it's not just this. The Bucks for now weeks standing there looking confused while Don Callis says you're going to be part of my family. This has been going on forever, and they just can't pull it off. They don't make it seem interesting. But this was the Adam Page is drunk and hanging out with the Dark Order shit. This is the Young Bucks couldn't be friends with him because of that. It's all of this drama and bad acting that specifically has been applied to the Young Bucks, who were supposed to be the big thing with AEW. And they've never just had a great feud. You could say the FTR matches, but again, you're talking matches. The FTR Young Bucks feud is non-existent. There's no great feud. If you like the matches, they're great matches. But the Young Bucks can't pull off anything but their style of matches, and every time they try to do any kind of acting or any kind of segment, they stand out for just how amateur it feels. To me.
They have the personality of mud that falls out of the tread in your tires. It just lays there. Nevertheless, then we moved on. What's good for the goose is good for the tit, I guess. Or it's tit for gander. Or whatever. They had the match with Bobby Lashley against Ricochet. So now 2 more of the guys in the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal for the national title. Did they even say, is this for a spot in the thing, or did they just have this single match, Shelton Benjamin against Hong Kong Phooey?
I guess it's just for a spot, because I think Lashley won the first spot, right?
Well, no, they've already got a spot.
No, but I'm saying like Lashley's the first
interview.
Lashley's the first one that will be entering the Casino Gauntlet match.
Yes, but was this Shelton and Phooey match? Was this for another spot, or did they just have a match because they're in the fucking Gauntlet match?
It's one of them will be in the match, the one who wins, and the one who doesn't won't be, I think, right?
I thought they were both already in the match.
Oh, are they? Then why'd they even do I don't know.
Because Tony, all he does is have in his mind, all this shit makes perfect sense. Because we're neither having the chemical makeup of Tony's brain, or we're not on the cocktail of medications to control aforesaid. So we don't. And he's hit the wall. It's the same thing. It's multiple man matches. It's fucking, and you can. Since we listened to Tony's interview on Ariel Helwani's show, he takes full credit for it. And with that in mind, I watched this show. I believe him. I think Tony's writing this thing top to bottom. And I think a lot of the guys are trying to do it. Some of the guys are trying to do it as palatably as they can and still consider themselves professionals. I.e. Bobby Lashley and here Shelton Benjamin. And I think a lot of the guys are just saying, fuck it, we'll just have fun anyway. And he's paying us so much. So I said that Lashley and Ricochet was visually ridiculous. This was the same size discrepancy because Hong Kong Phooey, old Spitball, is even smaller than Ricochet. Even though Shelton's a little smaller than Lashley. But Ricochet's work, at least when he's trying not to be silly, his shit looks good. This fucking small child looks like a kid playing karate. And again, maybe something that saved Shelton from as much embarrassment as this could have been to have to be in a ring with this guy for this long is that both of them are baby faces. So it's not like Shelton should just eat him up and spit him out like a heel. He'd more be like a big bully if he did that. But the fans would chant, "We hurt people." It's clear who they believe in, wanted to see. And Shelton mostly manhandled him and his shit looked good. But there was too much on the floor too early. But at some point, Shelton had to start letting Bailey do his setup, choreographed horse shit, and Bailey has no aura, no timing, no personality. As I said, he looks silly and works silly. And when Shelton gave him a comeback, all he did was the kung fu bullshit. And at one point, Shelton Gotch lifted the little turd and they went over the top rope to the floor. That was a heck of a bump. But then they started doing the Bailey's fake bullshit on the floor, and they lost momentum with him trying to set up the swingy dingy thing. And then Shelton barely beat the count because they had to go out of their way to try to make this guy look competitive. There's no goddamn way on God's green earth that Shelton Benjamin and MVP would have sat down and said, we have to do this much to make this guy competitive unless they were instructed to. Because it's just insulting to the fucking program. And at least MVP was calling him on. Did you hear him on commentary when Bailey would try to get an armbar and he doesn't know how or couldn't work it? And MVP would say, well, he doesn't have the fulcrum right.
Yeah. Let me just say, I don't know if he should have said everything he said, but I enjoyed the fuck out of it. MVP tore this apart on commentary every time Speedball was on offense.
Because you had to. Or it makes him look bad to normal people that might be watching the program. And finally, they did. I don't know. I watched this back a number of times. But as I said, Bailey had done more stuff to Shelton and had gone back and forth. And finally, Shelton's charging toward the corner. Bailey, it looked to me like Shelton was going to jump and fly into the corner and hit the buckle. But Bailey kind of moved, but wasn't all the way out of the way. I don't know. From the camera angle, couldn't tell. So Shelton kind of held up and then went into the buckle and kind of turned around like, well, what the fuck? And Bailey, was he supposed to small package? If it was a schoolboy, he pulled him into a schoolboy. Whatever, Shelton kicked out. They came up and Shelton leveled him with a super kick. He turned a complete flip bump for it, Bailey did. And it got a huge pop because it looked great. And Shelton covers him. And the referee counts 1 and 2. And Bailey doesn't kick out. He spoke a couple of words. You could see his lips moving. But the only movement he made was to just put his hand on Benjamin's back. There was no kick out. And the referee held up and didn't count 3. And the fans started booing and loudly. They were pissed. They were like, what the fuck? And MVP jumped up and he jumped into the ring and yelled at the ref. I think he jumped into the ring to say, tell him to do it again. Because he actually got in the ring to yell at the referee and it got right back out where he was on color. And they got up and Shelton gave Bailey a German suplex and a knee in a corner and then a super kick. 1, 2, 3. So obviously the super kick was the finish. But why the referee didn't count, I have no idea why Bailey would have spoken words. Was he just saying, thank you for not killing me?
Why don't we use this as the finish?
It doesn't make any sense that nobody moved and the referee held up and a finish was a super kick.
We just saw this on SmackDown. What was it? Who was with Nia Jax and the referee stopped counting? I can't remember now.
Good Lord.
Was it Jade or was it Tiffany? I don't remember.
I don't want to say either.
But we just saw this happen on SmackDown. Where the referee, there was a clear pin, the referee just stopped, and then they just get right up and go right to a finish.
But that was the thing. You could obviously tell that what they went into from the aborted count, German suplex, knee in the corner, and super kick again was just ad lib, because with what they had done before, if he'd have kicked out, they would have been anywhere near it. I don't know what the fuck. But this, again, it comes down to, instead of preparing the referees properly and having an environment, maybe they think they'll be yelled at. Instead of guys going over the finish and this will be exactly it, they ought to instruct the referees, if the shoulders are down, count it. Work with us to some extent. Here's what the finish is supposed to be. But superseding that, the booker, the head of talent, whatever, should supersede that with, don't bury yourself and fucking shit on the business on live television. If some bitch doesn't kick out, you got to do what you got to do. You're the referee. Now, again, there's always multiple circumstances. If you know the guy is knocked out and you know it's the finish and he's supposed to kick out, but he's laying there looking like he's on Neptune, then you need to communicate before you start to count with the guy that's covering him. He's fucked up or something. I mean, there's all kinds of shit going on. But if both guys are still conscious and everything's down, just fucking, and nobody's trying to move, count it.
At least Shelton got to beat him twice.
That is a good way of looking at the silver lining, isn't it?
MVP was killing him on commentary. It was so entertaining because it was all factual. It wasn't like he was being a heel and just lying or anything. Everything he said was just like point by point breaking down how everything he did looked weak. It was really remarkable.
Yeah, horrible technique. He said if for the right price, I may be able to work with young Bailey a little bit on his grappling. He said, I'll take an All-American wrestler over a black belt in Taekwondo every day, and everybody should, because that would be a thing you would do. But I mean, it's got to be a rib to these guys that know what could be going on versus what they're having to look at.
You know, again, it's one thing. It's one thing to see a Mike Bailey against the Young Bucks or Orange Cassidy or Darby, Jack Perry, someone who's not built like a traditional wrestler, not built like a traditional wrestler at any other time in history. When you see him with Shelton, it's ridiculous. I mean, there's no way you could even in your head, even if you think Mike Bailey's the baddest motherfucker on the planet, you can't think it's reasonable that he should beat Shelton or even have that much of a competitive match, but that's just the way it is.
Now somebody's going to go find an old videotape of Shelton Benjamin having a barn burner of a fucking competitive knockdown drag-out match with Rey Mysterio and say, well, look, see? Yeah.
Not the same thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Put Rey Mysterio of that time period or even today next to this fucking tippy-toeing son of a bitch. He took Twinkle Toes' gimmick too. Anyway, I don't know what this finish was supposed to be, Brian, but I guarantee you one thing. I will promise you one thing. They are not going to want a picture of this finish on their dresser or table or credenza or garbanzo or whatever kind of furniture they got in their room to remember forever, because this is a kind of finish that you want to forget. Wouldn't you say that's the case?
I agree with your statement, yes.
But if you have a memory or a person or a place or a thing or an animal, a vegetable, a mineral that you want to remember, Brian, well, then you want to remember it forever and you want to put it in a place of prominence there on the Schiffer robe or over on the nightstand or over there, as I mentioned before, on the Davenport. All of these types of things can happen thanks to our friends at Aura Frames. And that's A-U-R-A, in case nobody can understand my Midwestern accent. The Aura Frames at auraframes.com. Right now, I've taken over my whole family. They're actually making duplicates of my various family members that are programmed into these things, and then they just appear overnight. Meanwhile, the carcasses are being trucked out to Fresno to be put in a landfill. Maybe I shouldn't have revealed that part first.
Yeah, I would not reveal that.
Folks, it's just like you've got your family member or friend or loved one or various person in your life live there in the room, because these pictures on the Aura frames, they have meticulously calibrated high resolution displays. So you would never know that it's not the real thing right there. And you can send the photos and share the photos from your phones or your devices or your various implements or whatever stores your smart information. Maybe your smart stove can tell your smart refrigerator to send a picture of your spoiled squash over to goddamn Granny. And she'll think, boy, Helen needs to lose weight. But you can do that
send
stuff.
Granny pictures of the kids, of the good times, of the family get-togethers, the birthdays,
Of
and
the little
holidays.
squashes. Yeah, the little squashes and Sasquatches that you have around the house. It takes about 2 minutes to set up a frame using the Aura app. And then you've got complete control over who has access to your frame. But hey, if you want to get even with somebody, give your mother-in-law the frame and then give some drunken homeless bum on the street her code and say, send a bunch of pictures to this. You know what to do. You'll have endless hours of hilarity. And you can react with cute emojis to show that you love a photo. You can send congratulations. Or actually, you could send some word of not only encouragement, but also castigation. Hey, we hated that fucking birthday present. Don't disappoint us again this Christmas. You can do that. You can frame instantly from anywhere. They'll appear instantly on the frame wherever it is in the world when you send it from your device. So you can send somebody the finger in real time when they're in Pakistan. And the Aura detects faces and other key details in the photos and stores that information for facial recognition later on in case of horrible fire or chemical disaster.
In case you want to easily group your family members together by who they are, not because of some disfigurement.
Well, many of your family members can be disfigured, but with the bright Aura display in true color that automatically adjusts for the light level of the room, well, they'll still look about the same as they usually do, but it won't be any more offensive. And at night, when you turn out the lights, your frame turns off to save energy. I mean, this thing, it's just a wonder. And sometimes when you're sitting there, suddenly a picture of one of your relatives will just start speaking to you from beyond the grave. And you will really have a conversation back and forth with this thing.
That's again, you went too far. You had us for a second.
It worked for me the other night. I don't know. I'd had a couple Bloody Marys, but goddamn Uncle Tommy went on and on about Richard Petty and all his favorite race car drivers. And you can also put videos up to 30 seconds long. But of course, Uncle Tommy died before that was possible. So I don't know how Uncle Tommy was talking to me, but these videos, they can still be people that are living or dead if you pre-taped it. And there's an embedded speaker that can play audio on demand, so you'll hear the voices of maybe that's not a selling point. It's loved by the press. Named the #1 digital picture frame by Wirecutter, The Strategist, Wired, and PC Mag. So see, Politically Correct Magazine says, get this thing. And recommended by Good Morning America, The Today Show, Forbes, The Wall Street Journal, and several voyeurs that have managed to hack the code and use it as an interior camera to spy on you when you're washing your crotch. Folks, now.
No.
You heard what I said.
I don't know exactly what you said. It took off there mid-sentence.
For a limited time.
A limited time.
Visit auraframes.com. Get $45 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by everybody, using the promo code JCE at checkout. That's Aura, AURA frames.com. Promo code JCE. It's for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. That's the best deal of the year. So order now before it's over with and mention us at checkout, where you'll find out the terms and conditions that apply. Just don't read the fine print and everything will be all right. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Titty Tuesday, washout Wednesday, thirsty Thursday, fuck off Friday, and shithead Saturday. You're not going to get a better deal than this.
We love them here in our house. Suzanne's a big fan. We bought a few now as gifts for other family members for the holidays. We're sure you'll love it too. Aura Frames. Jim, that promo code one more time.
JCE. You know, this is much better than that other similar product I had one time that it always said, set it up right in front of where you use the toilet. Don't know why that they wanted me to do that. So should we go back to the program?
Yes, let's get away from bathroom talk and back to, Dynamite.
Well, I don't know. We're really making a lateral move at best, aren't we here? At the top of the 9 o'clock hour, it was Dick the Boozer and his henchman Claudio Castagnoli against Roderick Strong and our little puppy Pockets. So, needless to add, it started with a four-way on the floor, by the way. So, after about 15 minutes, every single one of the Boar Horsemen interfered and Moxley choked out Pockets. At least now they're using him to do jobs, but still it's offensive. Even if the wind is blowing the other way of the stench, it's just not palatable. So then they get more heat, and Kyle O'Reilly comes in and gets an ankle lock on Moxley. And while he gets the ankle lock on Moxley, Garcia and Useless are behind him, fake kicking him, which he's not selling. He's not supposed to sell. He's laughing it off, but the kicks don't look like he should sell them anyway. And 3 adult male referees, as big as the 2 heels that are on him, instead of just pulling him off or pulling them off, they're just kneeling there going, please stop, everyone. And it just looked so ridiculous. And then the other baby faces came in and did some fake shit to the heels, and then everybody stopped so that O'Reilly could challenge Moxley for the pay-per-view with no holds barred. And you know what that means, Brian? No disqualification. Did I miss any pertinent points? Because it's the same fucking thing every week.
Yeah, somehow the Death Riders still remain the worst thing on this show. And every single week we get to see a match with one of them, and then every one of them run in.
Well, this was no exception. So were you just captivated, Brian, then by the next match, which was for the Women's World Tag Team Championship tournament, where Toni Storm and Mina Mellons took on the very formidable team of Alex Mountbatten Windsor and Riho. They flew Windsor, I guess, in from England for this, where she's, I assume, been tending to her intended better half, Mr. Ostrich. And Riho, where does she go when she goes? And why does she come back when she comes? She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes.
From Castle Kenny, I believe.
So Storm and Mina now have a dance routine that they do on the way to the ring. It looked a little like Elaine Bennis was their choreographer. And they gave this thing counting entrances 15 minutes of national TV time, which is why that I don't know if I would have a lot of confidence in their future rights fees and deals with new owners at WBD, because that's the way they decide to use their fucking TV time. So then the next match, Shapoopy Brian wrestled the world champion Hangnail Adam Page with Samoa Joe on color. And I know that there's a grudge here, but Page, the babyface, jumps the heel Shapoopy in the aisleway from behind, and it beats him up all over the ringside area. throws the guy in the ring. And then as Paige gets up on the apron, the heel just gets up and runs over and just boots him in the face right off to the floor. And the referee rings the bell to start the match. It's again an example of how these are the stupidest, most weak, impotent, feckless baby faces in recorded wrestling history, aren't they? They're always doing something stupid. They almost never win anything. And even though Paige is the champion, I mean, obviously he's got all his drawbacks, but they just do stupid shit that you wouldn't do if you weren't stupid. And then the heel beat Paige up on the floor forever without being counted out. They had to be easily a couple minutes there out there. Referees said, hey. And they did a trick with a chair. And then this is the end of regulation Dynamite. They ran past 10 o'clock by 1 minute. But fortunately, this week we get a 3-hour block because it was 2 hours of Dynamite, 1 hour of Collision. So they just rolled right into Collision. And 1 minute in, Paige hit a buckshot lariat on him, beat him 1, 2, 3. And then cut a promo on Samoa Joe sitting there at color that went on. And in Paige's stagey, fake, growly voice way, he told Joe, I hospitalized Hobbs. He electrocuted him. And now he said he did something to Shapoopy here, but he got bleeped. I don't know what the fuck he said. And he bored everybody. And Joe just stared at him and said, I'll see you in the cage where you'll be all alone at Full Gear. Boy, is this a world title match of epic proportions or just more of the same old shit that we've seen?
Yeah, I'm not really caring about the match one way or the other. I hated Samoa Joe on commentary here. He comes across like a guy playing a heel on commentary in a way that he doesn't when he does his promos. I just wasn't believing him. It was almost like he was trying too hard. I don't know. It was a weird feeling I had.
Well, that is a thing. At some points, people do try too hard when they realize, oh, God, this is shits. But also part of Joe's presentation is you got to be able to see him. And it has the facials and etc. But no, I don't know why they're so fixated on Paige otherwise than to not have put the belt on him would be admitting that everybody that they originally banked on to be their pillars has been a complete and total fucking disaster, except for MJF, who thankfully is never on a program because he's in the movie business. So they got to put this thing on Paige so he can bore the fuck out of us on a weekly basis. Anyhow, continuing on briefly, the Women's World Tag Team Championship Tournament match number 2 was up again. Megan Brain and Marina Schaefer against Anna Jay and Ty Mellow Yellow. And that was another 10 or 15 minutes. What happened on that, Brian? Let you tell the people rather than me drone on about it.
Megan Bain and Marina won.
Well, there you go. So next, Mascara Dorada versus Obladi Oblada. He's so dull. Oh, did you watch any of this? I actually had enough morbid curiosity. I watched a lot of this match. Did you see any of it?
No, not really.
If they wanted to clear the building, they could have blown off the tornado siren or called in a bomb threat. They didn't have to do this to these poor people. There was some with Okada was trying to, not very hard, but he was making the half-hearted attempt to cooperate with some of Mascara Dorada's gymnastics, but had the same lackadaisical body language and unhurried physical effort and completely blank, puzzled face that he always does. And it was like, again, underwater choreographed gymnastics. And thankfully, most of this match was Okada not doing anything and wasting time, but it was the worst match of the night, including the girls, and it wouldn't end. They were lazy, phony, sloppy. And finally, both of them stood on the top rope, holding each other lightly by the arm, standing straight up on the top rope, both of them, motionless, with blank looks. So, well, a blank look on Okada's face and the masked guy. And apparently, it was supposed to be Dorada was going to Hurricane Rana him off the top rope, because Dorada jumped up and did the legs over the shoulders. But when they went off, it looked like instead of any kind of flip, Okada just jumped off. And it was going down feet first, which was taking Dorada down head first. And at the last minute, Dorada rolled over to where he landed on like his face, chest, and stomach. And Okada landed on his feet and just kind of rolled over the top of him. And the referee checked Dorada. And as I said, he had tucked at the last minute, but otherwise that would have been high rate of speed from about 10 feet on his fucking head. And I have no idea what Okada was supposed to take, because he wasn't going to take anything. He jumped down to his feet from the top rope. And then it looks like you could have made the case that Dorada was paralyzed or dead from this bump, the way it looked. And instead of covering him, Okada picked him up and Dorada small packaged him and got a 2 count. And then jumped back up, and Okada hit a drop kick, a suplex, and that shitty little clothesline. 1, 2, 3. A dead body revived to get the last fucking 2 moves of the goddamn match in. What is the matter with these people? That was not rhetorical.
I didn't watch the match, so I can't tell you. I wish we had quarter hours, because I'm pretty sure Mascara Dorada versus Okada in the 10 o'clock hour drove away a lot of people.
Hey, well, I'll just tell you what the match that drove me away was the next one, was the last one. And yes, I missed the quarter hours too, because this had to be the Mariana Trench of ratings drops for the undisputed Ring of Honor Women's World Television Championship. Mercedes Moon defended the Ring of Honor Interim Women's World TV Championship against the Ring of Honor Women's World TV Champion Red Velvet. And they went past 11 o'clock into an overrun. And I'm assuming that Mercedes is up to 14 belts now. So now at least there was a precedent 20 years ago or whatever for fucking 11 or whatever. Now it's just gone into comedy. And did they have a belt made for the interim Ring of Honor World Television Women's Champion?
Yeah, because she won the belt when she beat Mina Shirakawa a few pay-per-views ago.
But they had one made specifically for that.
Well, Tony likes belts, and Tony likes spending money. I'm sure he has belts already made that you don't even know about for titles that he hasn't even named yet.
Well, that was that over there for the AEW Dynamite Collision mashup, because, of course, Saturday night they got their big whoop-de-ding, so they didn't want to kill the Collision ratings, which have suffered badly enough as it was.
And they had one of those preview shows after Collision.
Oh, Christ. That's what, at some point in a couple of years, I believe the new owners of whoever they turn out to be, are going to be examining some of these deals where they have a company tying up 3+ hours of a night of their primetime real estate to deliver an average of 400 something thousand fucking people. If that sometimes. Because I wonder if Collision, and we'll find out at least some type of total measurement, even if we don't get quarters. But Collision has been down in the 200,000s on Saturday night in their regular time period. Will they be moved to Wednesday at 10 o'clock and do a better number than they do in their normal slot?
Would they drop Collision if they thought as a network they can get their hands on Braun Strowman and his cooking show or his menu show, whatever it is? Because that beats all these shows.
I don't know if they'd make that exact trade, but yeah. Braun Strowman going to restaurants and ordering and not even consuming everything on the menu does an equivalent or better number now than many of the AEW broadcast extravaganzas. I don't know.
Well, that was Dynamite in Boston. They are in the Northeast with the big pay-per-view coming up in Newark. And we'll see what happens.
You know, the thing is, Brian, there's never any sure thing anymore. There's never any money in the bank. There's never any boom. You got the cash, just stick it in your wallet. It's going to stay there. Everything's always at risk, except if you know our friends over at Ridge. That's RIDGE, Ridge.com. This is not Ridge Holland, folks. Not a GoFundMe. He is neither crippled, no one, nor has he gone bankrupt. These are the folks that make the greatest, sturdiest, most indestructible wallets known to man. We've talked about them before. We're talking about them again. Brian, you know that's one of the reasons why I just stand all crooked and walk droop-shouldered and slack-jawed and limp around and have one side of me's bigger than the other and that carbuncle. It's all due to that big, giant leather brick, all crusty from all the years of abuse that I always sat on when I had it in my back pocket. And that's bad for your spinal alignment. You can throw your sacroiliac all the way to Kamansak with something like that going on. And instead, now Ridge is making unique, slim, modern wallets. And now they've got the Ridge 2.0, which is a refined version of the Ridge wallet. It speaks in an English accent. Everything's better about it. Besides sounding like Alan Napier in the 66 Batman, it's 10% lighter. So now, even if you got a lot of money, you ain't going to get weighed down. And they made it more modular with improved cash straps and money clips and the AirTag attachments. With all of that stuff, you would think that this thing has to be the size of a basketball and have more shit sticking out of it than a Swiss Army watch. But oh no, au contraire, mon frere, because it's still just a little small thing. It's like a souped up credit card size type of deal made with premium materials like aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber. Holds up to 12 cards plus cash, 50 plus colors and styles to choose from. They got NFL and MLB and college team wallets, perfect for holiday gifting. And, Brian, besides that, it's got the RFID blocking technology that keeps you safe from the digital pickpocketers. Do you know some of these modern pickpocketers, they don't need to get their whole hand in your pocket. They can just 2 digits, 2 fingers, and boom, they've got your wallet. Well, these digital pickpocketers will be blocked with this technology. Every time they touch this thing, boom, it gives them an electric shock. So if you turn around and you see some guy with his hair standing up on end screaming, "Oh my God, it burns," while his hand is in your pocket, you'll know he's a digital pickpocketer. Has that happened to you, Brian?
There will be no burning. Let's wrap this up. There will be no burning, and of course, you don't have to worry about any of these kind of things. They don't have any electric or electronic. I don't even know why you would introduce this. And
Well, it's technology, and that usually, you need to plug that shit in
it's
somewhere. And
simple.
also,
It's simple. It's compact. It's easy. You load your stuff in there. You don't have all the crap. I love having a minimalist wallet. This is the one for you, Ridge.
well, my name is not Ridge, but this is the one for me, Jim. And Ridge is a gift that people love to receive, and also because it's made out of aluminum or titanium or carbon fiber and it's shaped like it is, you can also use it as an oriental fighting star and throw it at people and try to attack you and steal your money, and it'll stick in their jugular vein and they'll burst blood, spew everywhere. So, folks, right now, for a limited time only, Ridge is having their huge Black Friday sale. Head to Ridge, RIDGE.com to get up to 47% off your order. That's by far the biggest discount they have given all year, and oddly specific. Up to 47% off your order right now at ridge.com. After you purchase, tell them that you heard about us. Well, don't tell them you heard about us there, because you didn't. You heard about them here. But support our show. But again, Ridge.com, up to 47% off. And here's all you need to know is the code is JCE. Just like it is in every civilized country and business in the world, JCE, the code for up to 47% off at Ridge.com.
That's right. Take advantage of their biggest sale of the year, Ridge.com/JCE.
And boy, when you hold on to the cash strap with a couple of fingers, this could be a giant brass knuckle also. You punch somebody
Again,
in the face
no,
with this
you can't
thing,
do
and boy,
that.
They're not gonna get your money.